When Republicans hold their convention in St. Paul, Minnesota in early September, one of John McCain's former rivals will be very close by, putting a possible thorn in his side. And joining us now from Houston, Texas, Congressman Ron Paul. He was a Republican presidential candidate until what? Only the other night you suspended your campaign, Congressman. I guess the question is, what took so long?
Well, we had to wait and go through all the primaries to see how many votes we could get. We got about 1.2 million votes. So once that was over, I mean, it was natural to end that part of the campaign and start something new or continue it, because our campaign for liberty has been ongoing, and it will continue right up to the convention in September. I
know you're planning some sort of rally at the convention. Tell me about that. What's the point?
Well, the point is that there's a lot of frustration out there by conservatives and people who believe in limited government and are unhappy with the war. They're interested in monetary policy. And we don't hear much of that from our party leaders. And they've been working very, very hard for a year and a half. Some are very disappointed that the campaign isn't continuing and that there's not some chance I could win at the convention. But that's not realistic. But the natural thing, I think, to do is to have a rally, have our own meeting, and bring people together, and everybody gets to be a delegate, and we get to celebrate what we have done, and actually come up with some ideas that might suggest to the Republican Party some things that they can do to build the party again instead of seeing this party keep shrinking. And I think we have some very positive suggestions. It is not designed to confront or demonstrate or disrupt the convention. We're way down the street, like 7 miles away, and we're going to have a real celebration of what we think is very important. That's a celebration of liberty.
So it won't necessarily be a slap at John McCain's face, the thousands of Ron Paul supporters who probably will show up in St. Paul. Is that what you're saying?
I think in a personal sense, no, that is not the case. Philosophically, it's challenging because we will talk about the war, but we will also defend our position as conservative Republicans that we don't have to always support wars that are undeclared. So yes, it'll be challenging, but it's not a slap in the face. I just hardly ever mention John McCain's name, and I'm sure up there it will not be an attack on John McCain. It will be a philosophic argument about why we ought to follow our Constitution, follow limited government proposals that we have believed in for so long, get back to balancing budget, doing the things that Republicans used to believe in and actually try to practice, but we've gone a long way from now.
All right, we invited our viewers, Congressman, to send us some iReport questions, video questions for you. We have Vinny Sanchez, who says he's a Ron Paul supporter. He says he doesn't want to vote for McCain, but would if Ron Paul endorsed him. I want you to listen to his question. Listen to this.
I know you said you weren't going to tell us who to vote for in the general election if you were not in it, but will you tell us who you're going to endorse?
All right, Congressman, what do you say to Vinny?
What, did he ask me who I was going to endorse?
Yes.
I haven't endorsed anybody. I don't know exactly because I have a couple of friends still running in this race. But I have said publicly, and maybe even on your show, Wolf, that I don't plan to endorse John McCain unless he changed his views on the war and was interested in the Federal Reserve and all these other things, which is not likely to happen. So I can't endorse somebody that basically disagrees with all the things that I have worked for the past 30 years. But I haven't, I don't have immediate plans. Maybe later on in the year I might decide to, but you know, I just will not be endorsing John McCain, nor do I intend to endorse Obama.
What about the former Republican Congressman Bob Barr of Georgia, who's now running as the Libertarian presidential candidate? You did that a few years back yourself. What do you think about Congressman Barr?
Well, I think he's running a very important race, and I'm encouraging him. I haven't endorsed him, but he's saying the kind of things that, you know, I like to be said, and I hope he does real well. But we also have Chuck Baldwin, who runs on the Constitutional Party. His views are very, very close to mine, and he worked very hard in my campaign. So for me to pick one over the others is not easy. I hope they both together get a lot of votes.
But that would wind up, correct me if I'm wrong, Congressman, hurting John McCain. They would take votes probably in much greater numbers away from John McCain than they would from Barack Obama.
You know, that's what people usually think automatically, but if you come to our rallies and talk to the young people, many of them are always torn between Ron Paul and Obama because we appeal to the young people. And the Republicans, I think, if they really paid close attention to what I'm doing, they actually ought to encourage me because I can get some of these young people away from Obama because I don't think he's as authentic on foreign policy as we have been. So I don't think it's an automatic that we would take only conservative votes if somebody did not vote for John McCain.
Here's a question we got from Paul Green, who says he's the chairman of delegates for Ron Paul for vice president, and then he's an alternate delegate to the Republican convention. Listen to this listen to this question.
While it's unlikely that John McCain will pick you as his running mate, if the convention delegates were to nominate you and elect you from the floor of the convention, would you be willing to run for and serve as the Vice President of the United States?
You know, you're right in prefacing your question by saying it's not likely, and it isn't likely because it would be untenable. And it would be very unlikely that I could accept for the same reason that it's hard for me to say that I would vote for him, and I can't vote for him. So I could hardly work for somebody if I couldn't vote for him. So what would happen if a month after he's in office and I'm the vice president and he believes that we could attack Iran without congressional approval? If that happened, I would be so distraught that I would have to resign. So I wouldn't be able to do that. So the answer is a very strong probable no.
All right, Congressman, we'll stay in close touch with you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.